The harrowing story unfolding in the Southport inquiry paints a chilling picture of a young man whose descent into violence was marked by countless red flags that slipped through the cracks. And it's a tale that begs us to ask, could this tragedy have been prevented? As we delve into the testimony from teachers and school leaders, prepare to feel a mix of shock and sorrow, but also a burning curiosity about how systems designed to protect us sometimes fail. Let's explore the details that have gripped the nation, and along the way, I'll point out the twists that might just spark heated debates. And this is the part most people miss: the subtle hints of radicalization and the controversial decisions around referrals that left experts scratching their heads. Diving right in, the inquiry heard from Joan Hudson, the head teacher at Acorn School in Ormskirk, where the perpetrator attended. Mrs. Hudson, who took on the role on July 15, 2022, has a deep background in education, having served as the Special Educational Needs Coordinator and Deputy Head since 2016, and even stepping in as acting head teacher during various periods in 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. She described her initial encounter with the teenager during his enrollment, an unforgettable moment that chilled her to the core. When questioned about why he'd brought a knife to his previous school, he stared her directly in the eyes and calmly stated, "To use it." This blunt admission, paired with his total lack of regret, was unprecedented in her career. To make matters worse, his parents showed no reaction. No outrage, no reprimand, just quiet acceptance, which troubled her immensely. But here's where it gets controversial: the school's environment at Acorns, a small institution catering to students who can't thrive in regular mainstream settings. These kids might be there due to permanent exclusions, short-term interventions aimed at reintegration, or special educational needs. Mrs. Hudson painted a picture of a highly unusual student who was incredibly difficult to read, with behaviors that carried sinister undertones. He displayed zero respect for authority, whether from staff or peers, and lacked any sense of accountability or remorse. His interactions were consistently challenging, leading her to seek support from external agencies. Over time, his agitation grew, manifesting in direct confrontations with staff and accusations of bullying by other students, fueling her deep fear that he was escalating toward something catastrophic, perhaps even wielding a knife in school, much like he had at his former institution, the Range. Shifting gears, let's talk about the PREVENT program, the government's anti-radicalization initiative that popped up repeatedly in the discussions. For those new to this, PREVENT is a counterterrorism effort aimed at preventing individuals from becoming terrorists by offering support through mental health services, education, policing, and local authorities. Each year, around 7,000 referrals are made, and while most lead to helpful interventions, this teenager's 3 referrals between 2019 and 2021 fell flat because officials found no clear evidence of a fixed ideology or motivation. Security Minister Dan Jarvis has since criticized the program's review for not adequately addressing the individual's vulnerability, grievances, and complex needs. Imagine the frustration. Staff at Acorns, like safeguarding lead Janet Lewis, made these referrals out of genuine concern, yet nothing came of it. Ms. Lewis, who never directly taught him but observed his deteriorating behavior in classes, described him as potentially radicalized by his own internal ideologies, citing shocking statements and online searches into school shootings and terror events. Ms. Lewis recounted how his actions escalated, from self-harming incidents like punching himself to becoming increasingly isolated socially. She even referenced antisemitic remarks he made and nods to the 2017 London Bridge attack, though these weren't flagged to PREVENT. Sadly, she felt nothing would be done about them. An incident where he was caught with a knife on a bus wasn't reported because it happened off school grounds, and a search for a nunchaku, that's a traditional East Asian martial arts weapon, for beginners, wasn't picked up by the school's safeguarding tools, despite it possibly warranting a PREVENT mention. She was stunned by the second referral's outcome. No channel panel, that's the multi-agency process to dissuade people from terrorism, leaving her believing it might have stopped issues before they exploded. Lawyer Richard Boyle probed Ms. Lewis on whether PREVENT prioritized hard facts over concerns, and she admitted she didn't know if her worries would be taken seriously. "We can only refer based on what we see, not what we fear," she noted. This raises a big question. Should schools be empowered to act on hunches, or does that risk overreach? And this is the part most people miss: the teenager's refusal to engage even after being barred from Acorns following a hockey stick incident. Deemed too unsafe to return without a full risk assessment, he was given home-based work. But it flopped. He just refused to participate, she said, possibly due to unreported underlying problems. Going back in time, the inquiry revisited his days at Range High School, where incidents piled up like a ticking bomb. David Cregeen, the designated safety lead and a PE teacher, detailed how the boy admitted carrying a knife 10 times, claiming it was to stab someone amid bullying. He even called Childline about being bullied, prompting a police referral. In October 2019, after that admission, he was excluded, but his father pleaded for leniency, insisting the knife was due to gang culture and calling him a good boy. Yet, just 2 months later, in December, while still excluded, he returned armed with a hockey stick and a knife, attacking a well-liked, well-behaved student in the corridor for no apparent reason. Mr. Cregeen, who was on duty, confirmed the victim had no prior issues with him. Afterward, the perpetrator was eerily calm, a stark shift from his earlier emotional outbursts over bullying. When questioned, he matter-of-factly admitted intending to kill the pupil with the stick, and if that failed, to use the knife. This disproportionate response, bringing weapons not for show or defense, but to stab, alarmed everyone. Mr. Cregeen attended a strategy meeting post-exclusion for background checks, underscoring the gravity. And here's where controversy brews. Was this a cry for help that went unanswered, or a sign of deeper psychological issues that schools should have escalated more aggressively? As the day progressed, more witnesses stepped forward. Lynette Horsberg and Ewan Gaughan from BBC News captured the essence of Mrs. Hudson's dread, that visceral sense of foreboding about him bringing a knife to school. His demeanor screamed high risk, from no remorse over past incidents to challenging behaviors. Ms. Lewis echoed this, shocked by Prevent's inaction. To wrap this up, the Southport inquiry into the July 29, 2024 attack, where 3 young girls lost their lives at a Taylor Swift dance class, has laid bare a web of missed opportunities, from unreported anti-Semitic comments to ignored radicalization fears. At 18, the perpetrator now faces a minimum 52-year sentence, and the focus is on agency interactions. But does this expose flaws in Prevent, or is it about broader societal failures in handling troubled youth? What do you think? Should schools have more power to intervene based on intuition, or would that lead to unfair profiling? Do parents bear responsibility for their inaction, as seen here? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear agreements, disagreements, or even counterpoints. Is radicalization the root, or something more like untreated mental health? Let's discuss. Your perspective could shed light on preventing future horrors.